Well, the first major difference is that credit unions technically are owned by members, which are the people who have accounts. Credit union doesn't pay taxes. It's basically like a co-op. But sometimes credit unions are a little bit easier to develop a personal relationship with, and that's good. But if you move to another town, you've got to start over. For instance, if you were to have an account with Wells Fargo or Bank of America, there's one in virtually every town. Your credit unions are usually limited, I think, by county. So if you went to Nashville and joined the Nashville City Credit Union or whatever it's called, when you move to another town, you start over. So I don't know that as a customer, when you're just opening a checking account and having a savings account, it's going to matter very much. I think when you get a little bit further down the road and say you want to buy a car, a credit union might on the front end be a little bit easier to deal with. Yes, sir.
With today's housing market situation, and considering that some of us are considering grad school and med school, would you consider it wise to buy a home versus renting an apartment, considering you may be paying rent for 4 years?
No. The housing market, now I'm 49 years old, and I can tell you for all of my life, up until the last 2 years, housing prices always went up. And I've lived in 4 or 5 houses, and I've made money on every one of them. But you can't guarantee that today. You could buy a house today, and it goes down in value tomorrow. Most people would say you don't buy a house unless you're committed to being in it for 5 years. So I don't think so. The other thing is houses aren't cheaper than apartments. In a good market, houses will appreciate. Usually in a bad market over a 5-year period, houses will stay the same in value. Houses are good once you stabilize your life because it's kind of a forced savings account. Instead of paying $700 a month, you're paying $900, and when you sell it, you're going to get all that money back, basically. But I wouldn't say for graduate school I would ever recommend buying a house.
The percent that initially just for savings, not save to spend, is it a good idea to put that with an investor since you're not going to touch it for a really long time?
I didn't hear the first part of what you said.
The 10% of money you
Yes.
set aside that you're not saving to spend, it's not for travel or anything else but savings, is it a good idea to put that in a long-term kind of investment account with a stockbroker? And
Yeah, what you originally want to do is to build that 10% up and keep it in liquid cash and let that initially become your emergency fund. And then above that emergency fund, I would begin to look for opportunities, probably initially. Again, interest rates are very low today, but you might want to start putting into a diversified portfolio, either stocks and or probably not bonds, but maybe some income fund or something like that. You have the opportunity over 30, 40 years to build up a significant amount of dollars, and you're going to be probably looking at the average cost investing over that period of time. Markets do fluctuate. We've obviously seen that over the last couple of years in significant proportions, and we may still continue to see that in the next 10 years because of just the nature of where we are. But the main thing is to start putting that money to work, and working either with your bank and or a brokerage operation within the bank, or maybe a financial planner would be a good approach.
We'll follow on that with just 2 quick comments. One is there's a great website called Feed the Pig. It will show you, for instance, if you save $50 a month over your career, what it ends up being. And you'll be amazed how much, with compounding interest, how much it will do. I would recommend, you probably don't need to see a stockbroker until you have somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,000 anyway saved up, because they don't want to mess with you. And finally, one thing that probably hasn't crossed most of y'all's radar screens is when you go to work for most significant employers, whether it's a school teacher or you go to Wall Street or whatever, one of the first things that's going to happen in the first day or two is you're going to go to the Human Resources Office, which is what we used to call personnel, and they're going to give you an opportunity to sign up for different things, like what are your health care options, There will also be an opportunity to usually sign up for a 401k or a 403b plan, which just think of that as just employer-sponsored savings. Without a doubt, that's one of the best decisions you'll ever make, is to sign up for that, because it comes out before you see your paycheck. The company usually pays most of the expenses associated with managing the account. It has lots of tax advantages. So I know it's hard to think about that now. And when you think you're going to earn X amount per month, it's hard to immediately say, I'm going to cut some of that off and let the company invest it. It's one of the best decisions you'll ever make.
Extremely important to do.
I know one thing I've not thought so much about at this time is building credit. And one thing I hear about friends who've graduated recently is like kind of the rush to build credit. And I wanted to ask, how important is it to build credit out of college? And is the frequent use and careful use of credit cards a good way to do that?
You know, anybody that is looking at a credit report and trying to get a sense of are you reliable in terms of paying is going to look at are you paying your bills on time. If you have credit cards, sure, you can use those credit cards, but clearly you need to pay those every month. As soon as you begin to start paying minimum amounts, that impacts your credit rating. So,
I would say there's some false sense of development there.
yeah.
I think you pay your rent on time, you pay your electric bill on time, you know, your car payment, cell phone payment, all those things go to build credit. I wouldn't seek extra things just to build credit. You don't need to do that. And there's also, and the thing is, I think most people agree with this, the whole credit score system is so complicated, you can barely figure it out. You have to be really full-time at it to figure it out. And so, you know, like sometimes if you open a store credit account and don't use the card, does it hurt you or help you? If you have a credit card and you run it up and then pay it down, does it hurt you or help you? It's hard to answer those questions, so I'd be very careful about that.
Yeah, I just pay your bills on a regular basis. That's going to make your credit report, I think, look as good as it's going to be. But I wouldn't go out and borrow money just for the sake of borrowing money to create credit.
Well, I just heard that there are like specific ways to link student credit cards directly to your banking account so that it pays automatically, and it's almost like you don't have to write a check. So I was saying either I could use my debit card and I can withdraw right now, or I could use the credit card and it will withdraw, ledging my bank as it goes at the end of the month. And I figured, well, if there's no fee to pay, and if it would exercise a credit muscle, so to speak, is that wiser to do just for
I
normal?
don't know whether.
I'd be very, very careful about
Yeah,
that.
I'm not sure
Can I have a
that
comment about that?
Sure.
You have to watch that like a hawk if you do it. I was standing in a line to get my licensure, of all things, and struck up a conversation with a woman who, through just, you know, a paycheck got shifted or something, so it was a couple days late, and one of those automatic withdrawals came through, and it put her in the red, and with her credit card, it hurt her score. She was not a woman of great means. There was a penalty, and it hurt her credit score. So if you're going to do it, you got to watch it like a hawk.
Yeah, I'd rather write check and control the payment when I want to make the payment. I think what's happening with some of the banks right now, and they're looking for opportunities to get additional fees, is that people are using either their credit cards and in some cases using their ATM cards, and they don't have enough money in there. It hits an overdraft and it creates a situation where other checks that might be coming in then start getting bounced, and you get overdraft charges, and it really can become a
On that, as a tangent, when you sign up for a new checking account, the first thing I would ask about is, can you sign up for overdraft protection? Which is basically a line of credit for $100 or whatever, because you don't have, I mean, y'all probably have more experience in the past year than I do, hopefully, with overdraft charges. I mean, but I see it, and you know, overdraft charges can eat you alive. So anything you can do to avoid that, and that also goes to your credit rating too, because things are getting paid on time, and it's maybe only costing you $5 in interest versus $25 in overdraft charge.
You have to tell them one other thing, one word, Roth. Roth IRAs.
Oh, Roth IRA.
And the Roth IRA is a way to put even additional money away, where you can, it's purely elective, you can put it away. And refresh my memory here, I'm not in that business, but Roth IRAs are post-tax, but when you take it out, it's tax-free, right?
That's correct. That's
Yeah,
correct.
and, you know, if you can find a job with a pension, good luck. I'm a physician, very few pensions in medicine, so this compound, everything they said today is excellent advice, by the way. I'm not an expert, but there are a lot of other people who will have an axe to grind or a commission to make or whatever, and I think what they said today is good advice you'll ever get.